Flooding closes roads and schools in our area.
Dealing with sexual assault in middle schools.
And local farmers work through their wet spring. How much are crops being affected? Athens Midday starts now.
Live from Ohio University, you're watching WOUB2, television for Athens County.
The rain continues to come down in southeastern Ohio. Good afternoon, I'm Danny English.
And I'm Mike Holden. Flooding in neighboring counties has caused schools and road closings. Leah Fry is in Weather Center for the latest on the situation. Leah?
That's right, guys. Although the rain hasn't started falling quite in Athens, a lot of the areas around Athens have been getting hit pretty hard. Athens is expecting the rain to start coming around 5 p.m. tonight. Jackson City schools have closed today because of the flooding in the area. The Scioto River is in a flood stage, and State Route 327 is closed between Ross and Hocking counties. Just a few tips for when you are driving. If you experience some heavy rain out there, you can always turn around if you see standing water. Don't try to drive through it if it looks like it's more than just a couple inches deep. Always drive slow. Make sure you're slowing down. Carry a cell phone with you just in case you were to experience some kind of emergency. And also remember that having a four-wheel drive vehicle doesn't make you immune to hydroplaning. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Leah. With all the flooding in Jackson County, emergency responders rescued at least a half-dozen residents and drivers stranded by flash flooding last night. Some of the worst flooding has been in Oak Hill, just south of Jackson. Schools in Jackson County are closed today as storms dumped as much as 3 inches of rain last night. A sheriff's dispatcher says the rain has stopped and some of the high water is receding, but other streams are still rising. An emergency shelter is open at the First Church Nazarene in Jackson. No injuries have been reported. The flooding in our area has closed several roads. State Route 93 is closed south of Oak Hill, and State Route 139 is closed at Ralph Regal Road. Both routes 140 and 233 are closed. State Route 279 is closed between State Route 139 and Monroe Hollow Road. State Route 327 is also closed between Byre and Ray. When traveling on open roads, police say to be careful of standing water and debris.
The wet spring in southeast Ohio has caused some farmers to delay planting their crops, and down the road this could lead to smaller yields. Will Tapper talked to one farmer who's waiting for his fields to dry up.
Kelly Abfall is pitting the calendar against Mother Nature on his farmland in Albany.
Theoretically, every day after today you lose a bushel of yield.
That's because today ends the ideal growing season for planting corn. He'll have to wait a while longer to sow his seeds because there's still standing water in the fields. But he says it's worth the wait.
Because, the calendar is one factor, but the soil and weather conditions are a lot more important than the date.
Kelly says the consistency of the soil is key to determining when to plant crops. Say, if the soil clumps together real easily like it is here, then they have to wait a few days before they can plant.
If you go like that and it crumbles back apart, then it's ideal. So this is still got some time.
Alex Krautman from Ohio University's meteorology lab says we've had an excessively wet spring.
In Athens, we received a little bit over 6 inches of rainfall in April, whereas 3 inches for the month is usually more normal.
He says according to the drought index, the area is experiencing what's known as extreme wetness.
It's actually it's the highest level of the wet side of the drought index. It's kind of funny that the drought index has the dry and the wet.
He says as summer approaches, the area tends to get less rain.
At the end of May and starting into June, we should see a drier weather pattern. That's typical for most years, so hopefully the faucet turns off for a while and we can dry out.
As for Kelly, he says he's at least a week away from laying any seed.
This year, as long as it starts to dry up soon, I think we still have a chance at it being okay.
In Athens County, Will Tapper, WOUB News.
Kelly says he hopes to be in the fields by Memorial Day weekend.
Coal mining in our region has taken a toll on the land through the years. Now the Wayne National Forest is trying to reverse that damage. Athens MidDay reporter Katie Daup is live in the newsroom to tell us about this project.
Thanks, Danny. Acid mine drainage, invasive plant species, and declining wildlife. Common problems for land that has been mined over and over again. For years, the Wayne National Forest has been dealing with the symptoms of those problems. But now a group of volunteers and forest workers are trying to find a more permanent solution. Long ago, this area of southeast Ohio was known as coal country. Yesterday, about 15 volunteers and some Wayne National Forest park rangers and Ohio Fish and Wildlife Rangers could be seen planting trees near New Stratesville in an area that had been heavily mined.
Well, the Wayne National Forest is doing a watershed restoration project. This area was heavily mined in years gone by. It was underground mine to begin with, and then the folks came back probably in the 30s and 40s and did surface mining.
The purpose of this project is not only to get rid of all this leftover coal and plant trees in areas that have been stripped, but to also bring back wildlife and possibly people as well.
This is our kind of project. We call it Devastation to Destination. We actually want to make this a place, not only do we want to achieve our watershed restoration goals, but we want to make this a place that the public can come and enjoy.
The National Park Service has begun to remove the remaining coal and dirt, as well as creating a 3-acre lake. This is the largest of 25 Devastation to Destination projects, and volunteers say it's very important work.
It's outstanding. You're giving something back to the community, you're giving something back to nature. Most of all, you're providing an environment and a niche and a habitat for these animals to live in, and possibly fish living in the pond and erosion protection. It's a good cause.
But for other volunteers, it was more about just being in nature.
A better way to spend the day than outside and planting trees and hopefully making this area nicer. So.
Tomorrow, the forest will celebrate its 75th anniversary with an open house at its public headquarters off of Route 33. For Athens MidDay, I'm Katie Daup.
Check out athensmidday.com to learn simple ways you can contribute to the watershed restoration.
A female student has just reported gross sexual imposition over Easter weekend. She told Athens police she was groped just before midnight Saturday, April 23rd, at a party on South Court Street. The Athens Police Department says this makes 5 reported sexual offenses in 3 weeks. On April 15th, 3 different offenses were reported occurring in River Park Towers, Phi Kappa Tau Fraternity, and Christ the King Church parking lot on Stewart Street. At the end of the month, another sexual imposition was reported at the intersection of Mill and Stewart Streets. The most recent incident has students starting to be more cautious.
Like it's happening more often and more often. It's definitely something that I watch where I'm going. I definitely bring somebody with me all the time now, whereas before I probably wouldn't have.
All 5 cases are being investigated. The Athens Foundation has awarded its spring grants to 15 organizations. The award ceremony was held yesterday, and Athens MidDay reporter Kelsey Borza attended. Kelsey?
That's right, Mike. About $40,000 was awarded this year. 1 grant was awarded to a club active in 3 local middle schools. This club exists because of the growing problem of sexual assault.
The Healthy Relationships Teen Club program will continue development and implementation of 3 teen sexual and dating violence prevention clubs in 3 school districts around Athens County. $3,000.
Lauren Riley is the program coordinator overseeing the clubs spreading the word about sexual assault in local middle schools.
They're really, really beneficial to the schools. I mean, if you think about how many people they can reach, even though it's only 10 students in each club, if they go into 3 classes, they're reaching 60 people, you know, and they can reach the whole school through a project.
The group at Tri-County Mental Health does a really nice job at working with middle school girls in that area.
Although the money was given to a representative with Tri-County Mental Health, it will be put to use here at Athens Middle School, along with Nelsonville and Alexander Middle Schools, and hopefully Federal Hocking in the near future. Each club is responsible for completing a school-wide campaign. The Athens Foundation says it chose the group for its uniqueness.
I think that the issue of dating abuse is a hard one to get at, and from what I understand is not that uncommon.
Riley says the club is also a leadership program.
I think a lot of them kind of started coming for that, but they're really interested in the topic. They like learning about how they can help their peers and their friends and their family members.
The program started in January when it received its first grant from the Athens Foundation. The program is modeled after a similar program that began 4 years ago at Logan High School. For Athens Midday News, I'm Kelsey Borza.
Want to find out how the Athens Foundation selects grant recipients? Check out athensmidday.com.
The current Student Senate executives are endorsing the RSVP ticket in this year's elections. President Jesse Nieder says RSVP has the experience and knowledge to best serve the student body. Last year's Senate president did not endorse a ticket. Student Senate selections are May 18th and 19th. Barack Obama was in Texas yesterday. Find out why the president has a new reason to smile.
And the Navy is reviewing a new policy that could make waves. Athens Midday will be right back.